We should like periodically have that thing flash up on the screen, like insert citation. Citation needed.
We can put a bibliography in the video description.
Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be like a beauty vlog, only like academic articles.
Ah, the best kind. Everyone will want to watch that video.
Welcome back to the Hot Pot Podcast with Sen, Bonnie, and Becky. This week we're going to introduce how we got into esports in the first place, starting with Bonnie this week, and we're going to continue over the next few episodes. Then we're going to shit on our team's social media games and discuss social media engagement for Overwatch League in general. And we're going to end with discussing how Seoul Dynasty done fucked up.
Yikes.
So that's the menu for today, ladies.
Whoa.
Oh, we have to give a quick shout out to Michelle for some epic fan art.
That was the best fan art. I was really overwhelmed.
My sense of time is completely fucked up because I came from like Canada to Hong Kong and I skipped like an entire day. I don't remember when I saw that fan art. I just think I like woke up, looked at it, and was like didn't fully process it, and I was like, I'm going back to sleep. I went back to sleep. And then 2 hours later I picked it up again and I was like, oh, hold on. That's not just a hot pot.
Yeah, now every time we eat hot pot, it's going to be like, wow, nice podcast reference.
That's just like that one podcast that those people do.
So thank you, Michelle, for the fan art. We love it. It's so beautiful. Okay, so as promised, we're going to do some more in-depth introductions, starting with this week. And we're going to start with Bonnie. So Bonnie, can you tell us how and why did you get into esports? I think the why is actually...
Yeah, I ask myself that every single day, actually. But, no, it's very simple. I had exams. Most good stories start like that. I had exams coming up. And I did not want to study for them. I was like, where will I find something that'll help me not study for exams? And then I opened the Battle.net app, as I often do, and it said Blizzard had that week decided to promote Apex Season 2 Finals, Lunatic High versus Runaway. And I was like, oh, I know Lunatic High. And then I clicked on the link, it led to the Twitch VOD. And I was like, 5 hours, perfect, I'm gonna watch all of this. And if my mom comes in, I'll just switch to my email and pretend just to be staring intently at that. So, I watched the whole thing, and I was like, whoa, this shit is awesome. Look at the production value on this guy. And, yeah, I just kind of watched back through the entire season, and that was it. And I sealed my fate that day.
That was it?
Yeah. I mean, I watched a bit of the World Cup in 2016, and that's like...
We all did.
Okay, so,
We all, watched a bit of it.
You know World War I?
What? What?
I'm sorry?
Okay, there was a point to that. In 10th grade, we learned about World War I, and my history teacher described the causes of World War I as, a gunpowder barrel. And the spark that lit off the gunpowder barrel that finally sparked World War I was the assassination of Franz Ferdinand at Sarajevo. So, the reason I bring that up is because the World Cup was like the gunpowder, and Apex Season 2 was like a brutal assassination.
Of Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah, of Franz Ferdinand.
Of Franz Ferdinand.
Face.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's basically how I got into Overwatch esports, and then led me to where I am today.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, we also have here listed other esports-related musings. So I will give a musing.
Okay.
I will provide a musing.
A single musing.
One singular musing. Which is that I think esports is very weird. I think it's very weird that we like esports. I think it's very weird that anyone would like esports. Because sometimes I think about it. What is esports? It's just, 12 geeks sitting on a stage wearing jerseys, probably for the first time in their entire life because they've never played a sport before. Just playing video games really well. And it's so stupid, and yet we all care about it so much. Like, we watch these idiots playing video games, and we're like, oh, look at me, I'm gonna get emotionally invested in this. And, like, it's ridiculous, but it's where we are, so there you go, that was my musing. That was my personal introduction of the day.
Well, also on the list is, hey Bonnie, did you happen to write an article on the Hangzhou Spark?
Why, yes I did, Becky. And you can go to heroesneverdie.com to look at it now. Thank you for the organic introduction to that.
That's heroesneverdie.com.
Unfortunately, there's no coupon code.
Enter code HOTPOT. That's HOTPOT. HOTPOT.
Get 10% off reading the article. Having said that, it is actually a very good, solid introduction to Hangzhou Spark, especially if you are not familiar with kind of Korean contenders, which is sort of where the majority of the players are from. So definitely recommend that article to get better acquainted with the team.
Thank you. I had to cut out an entire paragraph about No Smite playing Junkrat. It was heartbreaking.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
It's so important to understanding who he is as a player, you know? Like, whatever.
It is. I mean, that was his iconic moment where he, like, really screwed up Taimu with his Junkrat.
What I remember was he fucked up Effect with that. Because Effect was playing Tracer, and you can't play Tracer against a master Junkrat.
No. Okay.
Honestly, if you ask me, like, hero association, definitely No Side's Junkrat and not Jake.
Moving on smoothly with the most impeccable segue, we want to talk about different OWL teams' social media game, or specifically like their own. We already have actually two people very qualified to talk about this. Bonnie, you've already written an article about NYXL's very successful marketing. And Sen, you literally are part of San Francisco Shock's social media team.
Oof, so, I don't know if this is like...
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like giving me free reign to go like unleashed, Sen Unleashed, or if I should be holding back.
Well, I am personally very interested in sort of the goings-on between social media teams, because I think a lot of people look at social media feeds for official teams and think, oh, that's easy, like, or anyone can do that. Like, people assume it's actually an easy job, but it's not, to curate a certain image and to stay witty and be engaging. All of these things are actually quite tricky to do.
Look, I'm sure a lot of people think that working in socials is just mashing the GIF key on Twitter.com. Which, I mean, there's a fair amount of that involved. Sometimes you just gotta mash that GIF key. But I think there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that people don't know about. We actually have quite a few people in socials. I don't know how much of this I can talk about, actually, but whatever, we'll cut some of this out. We have a few people in socials. Some of them work in other sort of departments as well. But what happens is we get on this weekly call, and it's honestly just a lot of creative spitballing. If we see anything we think can work, we drop it in the company chat, and we talk about it, and we spitball it around. And a lot of the posts that we do, it's not just coming up with an idea. Sometimes we just see something really interesting, we drop it and say, hey, can we do anything with this? And people will just, we'll pitch ideas, and then we'll craft it into something that can be funny, that is engaging. And obviously not everything gets approved, because a lot of the things that we want to pitch, they have to be approved by upper management, obviously. Sometimes it's like budget related, sometimes it's just time constraints, and whether the players want to engage with it or not. You'll notice that Valiant do a lot of kind of cutesy fluff videos where it's just a lot of cute content, and I think that's what you mentioned, like shoulder content. The kind of social content that people want to see varies a lot, so we have to be careful with that. I've noticed that, like, female fans especially, like, we like seeing players do, like, arguably cringy things, sort of, like, imitating the heroes, or, like, those intros where they kind of do like these cringy poses that players might think are cringy, 14-year-old boys might think they're cringy, but they're a huge hit with female fans because to us it's cute and it shows that the players like have a sense of humor and have a sense of personality and are willing to goof off because at the end of the day, esports isn't that serious.
Quickly to interject with a quick definition of what shoulder content is, for those who aren't super familiar with the term, it's basically more social media content, behind the scenes footage, player interviews, sort of the kind of content that is all peripheral to actual gameplay is arguably shoulder content.
Do you know why it's called shoulder content?
Well, there's this thing called shoulder programming. Oh, okay.
I think so that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So shoulder, the word is like directly from TV language, where shoulder programming is a type of pre-event and post-event broadcast programming as a companion to live sporting events. So I guess shoulders, they're like literally companion to your neck and your head. I'm assuming that's why, yeah. It's sort of the companion stuff rather than the main stuff.
Oh, I just spilled water all over myself.
That's staying in the podcast?
That's staying. No retake on that one, bitch.
Just do a retake.
We cannot do a retake.
So, Bonnie, you've actually also commented already about NYXL's pretty successful marketing strategy. And in brief, what would you say are the main keys to NYXL putting forth their successful team image and also like marketing their merch so well?
I think they just they have a fundamental understanding of the city, like just the atmosphere of the city and its people. I think that's pretty much it, because like I remember when I spoke to some of the, level 99 guys on the phone. They talked a lot about how they want to connect to this New York idea of, the grind never stops and like anyone can be anything. And I think that really shows from whatever kind of content they put out. Like, they connect to their players a lot and they have this really like dark, gritty style with their social media graphics and everything. Which is cool, and everyone likes that. What's not cool is when other cities try to copy that, because... Brilliant segue into Toronto Defiant. So I attended the Toronto Defiant launch party, and it was pretty cool. The first thing I thought of when I went in there, and just paired with their like black and white graphics and everything, I thought, wow, this is New York Excelsior on a budget. Not to be mean or anything.
Walmart versus Gucci.
Yeah, basically. But, like, I don't think it's I think that idea is good. It's just... First of all, it's been done before. Second of all, I don't think that's what Toronto needs. Speaking with authority, as someone who's lived in Toronto for, like, 8 months, I know everything about the city, so... It's just, they're taking the wrong approach.
That's not the energy that Toronto projects. That's not what you think of when you think of Canada.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I don't actually know a lot about Toronto. I just think this is not the right way for them to be going with their social media and marketing and everything. I don't want to, like, rag on Toronto's marketing or social media too much. It's just... I think they should find their own kind of identity and try to break free from this, like, New York-esque thing. And if they really want to lean into the New York thing, they have to... I think they've misunderstood what makes New York so successful. Because New York has this thing where they really want to connect their players to their audience.
Yeah.
So we have that, like, Origins series, and we have, like, weekly behind-the-scenes updates on the players. Obviously, we can't do that yet, because I think the Toronto players are all still in Korea.
Yeah.
But that's important, especially when it's, like, a team that speaks a different language, and people are always like, full Korean team, where is all the Toronto talent, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that style is, like...
Yeah.
Works really well for New York, and it can work for Toronto if they try to execute it differently. in a way that fits the city more.
Right. And part of this entire second season of Overwatch League is about bringing the teams closer to their geolocation cities. And I think another part of why New York is so successful is they do have a pretty dedicated fan base in New York, and they've had this pop-up shop, which according to all accounts, has been very well attended. So I think that's another thing NYXL does quite well.
NYXL.
NYXL. I'm using the cool term.
It's you and Jake Overwatch, an elite club.
Oh my god. Okay. Sen, do you have any comments on that? Well, I don't know if this is awkward to ask you because you also you literally are part of a social media team for a different team. But when you look at the cute or funny video content from Valiant or the skits put on by the Gladiators, do you see that as good?
I think it's really good. I think it targets sort of a demographic in esports fans that, I mean, it's a growing demographic, right? People often associate sort of esports fans with just dudes who want to be gamers rise up, we're so cool, it's epic gamer time. Lime green, black, and red, XD.
That was a really great impression of Gamer Bros. Thank you.
Monster energy, and that kind of thing. But then it's undeniable, especially if you look at Overwatch League and even League of Legends, right? That a lot of the fan base is female, and a lot of the fan base does engage with it very positively. And I think it would be foolish, honestly, to overlook that sort of content.
Yeah.
Especially with I think it's undeniable that there is really a big crossover between sort of K-pop and esports fandom, oddly enough.
There is overlap.
I saw it mentioned somewhere. Wait, actually, Matt, might have been you. It's the K-pop experience without the actual K-pop production.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That is appealing to female fans.
Yeah.
And so content like that, like skits and cute, K-pop imitating videos and stuff, that is that experience minus, the production and all the big fanfare and stuff.
Interesting. Well, yeah, that's definitely something we can cover in later weeks. The overlap between different kinds of fandom and Overwatch esports fandom, and also maybe differences between Overwatch esports fandom versus other esports. But I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, especially one great example I immediately thought of when it comes to recognizing your sizable female fan base and directly connecting to them was the Houston flowery jersey that they put out.
Yeah.
I wanted that, and I'm not even a Houston fan. That thing was so cute. And I am so mad that so far at least, because that's literally a sweater you can wear wherever. It's just a cute sweater.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But now we've got Hangzhou Spark, so we have the potential for a lot more cutesy match.
That's true.
Oh, pink and baby blue. I want, there's sort of the 90s breaker sort of things with the block patterning. There's really ugly ones that you see people at 90s parties, but that with white, baby blue, and pastel pink, that would be so cute.
That would be cute. Millennial pink, I've heard it called.
Oh my god, I love it.
Okay, so all of this actually does lead us to one of our final topics at least, which is where Seoul Dynasty is at with their social media game, with their fan base engagement, and with their issues with both of them.
That long-suffering sigh.
I feel like we ended last episode on Seoul Dynasty too. Gee, we're just gonna use them for the ending of everything.
This is
gosh.
a trend. I mean, they're kind of our origin stories, right?
Oh my god, that's true.
Not completely untrue, actually. Yeah. It's very arguably so.
Where would I be without Miro Overwatch?
Oh
Where would I be without you, Jae-hong?
I still use the exact same spots. Like when I'm playing Winston on defense on Anubis or on Lijiang Tower, I still think of Miro in 2016. I do the exact same things he did. What an icon.
So, I mean, all of this actually sort of attests to the fact that Dynasty was probably the team coming into Overwatch League with, perhaps you could say, the most baggage. I don't know if that's fair to say, but they were coming in with the most quote-unquote history in Overwatch Season 1. They were coming in with probably the best established pre-existing fan base in an organized fashion. I think maybe the other team that could rival them was probably NVS, which then became Dallas Fuel. But in terms of being organized and already having had like lots of fan events, Lunatic High was probably the most well-known, well-supported team. And they became Seoul Dynasty. So since then, it's just been me sitting back watching Genji and which used to be, what did they used to be called? Genji used to be called KSV. But yeah, since then, they've taken this, what was a very significant brand, in my opinion, in Overwatch Esports, and they've not really utilized it, the way I see it, to its full effect. Fan engagement has felt lacking. Having said that, fan engagement can be a very demanding and difficult thing to do, but...
You know, I've got my little fists clenched. I have so much to say.
Please, jump in.
I mean, it's easy for... I don't know. I think Apex did it the way that it should have been done, right? Sort of fan meetings were easily accessible, and tickets were like, what, 5,000 Korean won, which is the equivalent of maybe like $5 US, compared to sort of... I mean, Overwatch League prices, that's reasonable. It's in the US. It's a different standard of like, you know, how much you get paid, standard of living, etc., and different currencies. So I can understand that, different, you know, production, whatever. But like having sort of these fan events in Korea where esports fans are used to a certain standard, and then pricing things that are up to $200 US, with that money you could just easily go see like your favorite K-pop idol perform. Like, why go look at gamers, right?
It's true.
I think one of the major mistakes that Genji has made is trying to coast off this legacy of Lunatic High, while fundamentally misunderstanding the existing fan group and sort of not being able to connect with them. I just think there's such a big disconnect there.
No, I think your points are all really correct. I think this most recent event, which is it was what fans have been asking for almost, I think, 2 to 3 months now, was a Seoul Dynasty fan meet, which to them was a no-brainer because Lunatic High would hold fan meets not like often, but regularly enough. And those weren't elaborate. It was, the players would have a Q&A, everyone would get signed merch, everyone would get to at least, you know, directly talk to the players for just a short amount of time. So this having a Seoul Dynasty fan meet was really a no-brainer on the side of the fans, and they were getting very impatient at the lack of info. And then what does get announced is a Seoul Dynasty Guangzhou Charge friendly match plus fan meet plus an Epic High mini concert. So they're getting a fan meet with 2 fairly major events that they didn't ask for, making the fan meet actually seem very secondary. So it's a puzzling choice. I'm sure there are fans who are like, oh yeah, Epic High, very cool. But if you think about fans wanting more than anything a fan meet, and then finding that in order to get to the fan meet and get the best access to the players, they basically also have to pay for a concert, a mini concert. And that is included in this fairly sizable ticket price. That's pretty
and
annoying.
The spa ticket. For some reason.
And the spa ticket. Which
like,
apparently...
You have to go through multiple bosses to get to the final boss, which is the fan meeting.
That's definitely what it feels like. And that, you know, the other thing that the fans were actually also mad about was that freaking spa ticket isn't even usable after 7:30 because the damn spa closes at 7:30. Yeah, in general, this feels like it doesn't feel like the most care and attention was paid to what exactly fans wanted and how best. I don't think actually fans are that mad about the Dynasty Guangzhou Charge friendly match. I think that's a very cool thing to bring in here. I think more friendly matches should be happening. But in terms of what the fans had been asking for a very significant amount of time, it was like the org was not paying attention.
I really think it's sort of almost like I don't want to admit to reading Reddit, but I looked on Reddit once, and in the
big mistake.
In the comments about this one thread, I actually got really annoyed reading this thread because it's like, how dense can you get, right? But a lot of American dudes were saying like, oh, this isn't that much, it's not that much. It's pretty like standard if you want to meet a celebrity or like go to a convention. Like, you take a photo of celebrities at a convention and get their autograph, and this is how much you pay. But the thing is, that's how much you pay at a convention to meet an actual celebrity and not like an esports gamer. Right?
They're just people. They're probably even worse than you.
The entire point is that it's not about like if you can afford it or not, right? Say like someone was selling you, I don't know, like how much is a Big Mac in America?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
We're so useless.
Alright, let's say hypothetically, a cup of coffee is like, I don't know, what, $4, $3, $4?
$3, yeah.
Okay, so let's say it's $3 in America, and then, but like, you suddenly have to pay 6 times that price. Would you pay that even if you could afford it? Right? It's a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll get some fancy add-ons like, I don't know, sugar.
Whipped cream.
And milk.
Yeah.
And you get that for free, but are you going to pay that? No, of course not.
Because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it's because of this, like, expectation. Not really expectation. I think it's just something that's very unique about esports and gaming is how accessible the people you watch are. Like, like for example, with, like, Twitch streaming, pretty much every Overwatch player streams, and it's, like, so easy to talk to them or, like, hear what they're saying. You could never do this with, like, a traditional celebrity. Like, you couldn't, like, at them on Twitter and be like, hey, I like your new haircut, and they'll be like, thanks, maybe. And, like, that's why when it translates to real life, like, fan meetings and stuff, especially in, like, with, like, Korean Overwatch teams and players, there's already such accessibility. Like, that's the expectation. So, to try and, like, capitalize off that is, like, weird.
Yeah, and in general, as Sen has already mentioned, it's a price point that is simply not within reach for a sizable portion of the Dynasty fan base. If we're going by sort of this generalized understanding of the fan base as primarily, though not limited to, young women or college age, maybe even before college, because it's not just, $20,000. It's not just $200 to attend the event. That's the event itself. That's the premium ticket. But you're also going to have to find lodging if you live not close enough. You're going to have to find transportation, which is going to take over 2 hours. There's a lot of logistical issues involved that, honestly, if you're used to sitting at home and watching the players stream, like, all of that is going to seem extremely inconvenient.
Yeah. You think gamers can do things? You think fans of gamers want to do
will
things?
Be bothered?
Most gamers even want to leave the house, let alone travel hours to see other gamers.
Also, I'm very curious, and I kind of want to get some feedback maybe from listeners about if they went to the London event or if they watched the London stream for the Spitfire event in London, where they also had some Houston Outlaws players and they had a friendly match. They also had a mixed match where they invited people from the audience. I think maybe you had to apply ahead of time to play with the pro players. It was a fan meet / friendly match / like event that Spitfire held in London. And as far as I know, the ticket price was £14.75, which is about $20 in US dollars. So extremely affordable for the content that you got. And it was very well attended. So I'm surprised that, obviously, like, London has not gotten too many opportunities to see their players. So, like, a lot of fans, I'm sure, were happy to have this opportunity. But compared to that, like the Seoul event seems like a misfire, a misdesign to some degree. There was some things that Apex did to facilitate fan and player interactions, whereas I think right now Overwatch League leaves a lot of that stuff to the team. So whereas before, I think because OGN and Apex, like that entire operation had a lot more experience handling, managing fan interactions. So I think that's also something we need to keep in mind.
We also need to keep in mind the time, everyone.
Yeah. Ooh. No, I was gonna say, we've been talking for a while.
Yeah, I will be doing a lot of editing.
We don't want to turn into those 2-hour-long podcasts where it's just a bunch of people talking about their opinions.
Yeah, we'll only talk about opinions for 30 minutes at a time. That's much more manageable.
Us better.
30-minute opinions are the only valid opinions.
Even if it's shorter than that, I don't fucking want to hear it. If you can't talk for 30 minutes about your one opinion, it's bullshit.
I think we should do an outro like, I'm Becky, I'm Bonnie, and I'm Sen, and you've been listening to...
I should not be that cute. Well, actually, why don't you just do the outro? Like, just like that.
Hold on. Actually, let me something... Hold on, let me type it out so I don't fuck it up.
Okay. Nice.
I need to I can't do it naturally, I want to laugh.
And you could be fake. I think we could use more, like
campy sort of...
Yeah, use more camp.
Okay. Tune in next week to listen to Becky's origin story on how she became the resident darling of Korean Overwatch and an indispensable figure in bridging the gap between Korean Overwatch and its English-speaking fanbase. And the rest? Well, you'll just have to tune in.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you, Sen.
Do the rounds? Like, I'm Sen Overwatch. Like, I'm Sen. I'm Becky. I'm Bunny.
Okay, go ahead. You start.
Okay. I'm Sen.
I'm Becky.
And I'm just someone they picked up on the street. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.